Yeah.
Hello, live stream people. We are muted right now to save your having to listen to us.
You say 5 minutes.
Okay.
We'll get started next 3 to 5 minutes.
We're looking at like 5 minutes, so just hang tight. I just want to get this live stream started. Do I look okay? I have no idea if it's fine.
You're framing the BART sign in the shop, right?
Yeah. Nolan, we put you on the spot. How's it going? What are we doing here? What does SB 79 do?
Allow for adjustment to the housing near transit. I've never been to BART housing authority.
Okay, cool. Where are we?
We're at the Daly City BART station, and the weather cleared up just in time for the Shout out to the
Incredible poll by Senator Weiner and his staff. We have 19 people. This is incredible. Robert, you just texted me. I cannot hear you because my phone is in live stream mode.
We got a notice on our door.
Hey, everyone.
For our landlord, or the day before, that says because there's unpermitted work.
We're going to get started in about 5 minutes. Just hang tight.
The inspector came to the door months ago, and I was like, I don't know anything about that. I just live here. This is my property. I think it's downstairs. I don't think it was really a duplex. I think it was probably storage. And they stuck with it because that's what landlords do.
Hey, you're looking at the precursor to a press conference about a transit-oriented upzoning bill, SB 79. You can learn about it in the link in the description of this live stream. We're going to get started in a little bit here. Where's everyone coming from? Sound off in the comments.
That might be the key. I might just have to be like, look, I know you're totally down. I live in a simple I mean, this
Hello, Greenbelt Alliance. We're so happy to have you on board as co-sponsors. Oh, we got trains. You're good. We got trains over there.
I'm a cameraman who's camera shy. You know?
I get it.
You have nice hair.
Thank you. I'll take the compliment on this fine Friday.
Oh yeah, you're right. There I saw it earlier. She's handing them out.
Yeah, right there. No, got it. Yeah.
What's going, everybody?
Not me trying to fix it up. We can't help it.
It's cool. We can produce this.
Yeah, right?
Is it all politics production? Come on.
Yes. I will take a sign. You're on the California UMB live stream. Take this UMB action sign.
Yeah. Also, I'm like, why?
Hey man, how you doing? Good to see you. How are you? Thanks for coming up.
Again, it's that questioning authority. I'm like, why?
I have those battles occasionally.
Right? So, what other markets did you bop around to after?
So we started in
Yeah.
you know, we no, think it was like 124 in Plattsburgh, Burlington, New York.
I heard someone say a couple minutes ago that it started like 5 different
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I didn't even know there was a BMA there.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yes. Yeah.
They were both first stations, so I,
Nice to be able to do that.
was the PA, then master control, and transferred as master control. Eventually,
Oh, yeah, I'm Charlie Bud.
Hey, Robert, I hear you. I think.
Thank you so much for being here today. The senator just arrived on the train, so if we can get the folks who are going to be standing in a half semicircle behind the podium with the speakers in front, we'd love to get set up so that we're ready to go in just a couple of minutes.
He's from DC, so he's like,
Testing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
The BART director is Edward Wright, right?
That's Victor Flores.
Oh, that was Victor Flores.
Yes, that is Victor Flores.
Twisting and adjusting.
And he is.
Where do you think we should stand?
You should stand back behind there.
How about me? Same?
Yeah, we're just trying to get folks hanging out.
Should I join them over there?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I bother you to? Excuse me, can I bother you to move a little bit? Yeah, but here to support. Nice. Trying to get closer here. Can I bother you to stand back a little bit?
what do you do for your mic on that? Do you set something up or just go?
We're just raw dogging with the iPhone mic. This is a low tech situation
Oh, no,
today.
it's okay. It's
Gotcha.
good where it's at. Yeah.
A lot of people got some opinions in the chat.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. Let me know if I go into your shot.
Oh, you're good. I'll just push into the street.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, good morning, everyone. It's great to be here today in beautiful Daly City at our BART station with the parking lot and everything else. And so welcome. I'm really thrilled to be here today with an incredible coalition of transit champions, housing advocates, environmentalists, business leaders, elected officials to announce new legislation, Senate Bill 79, the Abundant and Affordable Homes Near Transit Act. This bill will allow for more homes near high-quality public transportation. It'll allow for more housing overall, and it will support our public transportation systems with increased revenue and increased ridership. These two things that we so desperately need: more housing, more and better transit, and the two truly go hand in hand. We have some big challenges here in California, and yes, we have a mega challenge coming at us from Washington, D.C., and we're going to have to contend with that. But we also have our own self-inflicted wounds here in California. We can blame Donald Trump for many things, but those self-inflicted wounds were not Donald Trump's fault. They're California's fault because the state has made poor policy choices for many years, and we are trying to turn that around to improve the quality of life for Californians, to make it easier and more affordable for people to be able to live here and thrive here and raise families here. We know that the high cost of living in California is literally pushing people out, and it has been for a long time. Families that you have that second kid or even that first kid, and it means you have to move. It didn't used to be that way, and it is that way for many families now if they're not wealthy. We know that young people struggle to envision a future for themselves where they can have housing that is stable and that meets their needs. And people are being pushed out of the Bay Area to other parts of California, but people are leaving the state entirely because of the cost of housing. And we're seeing, unfortunately, Californians even moving to red states, which has its own consequences. And we want people to be able to stay here and thrive here. And we want people to be able to come here. California has always been a state where people have come here from all over the country to make lives for themselves, because this state is the absolute beating heart of creativity and innovation in the United States. And we want it to continue to stay that way. But we also know that in California, because of the way that we set up our land use policy, for so many people, public transportation is not an option. And for so many people, this isn't about forcing people to take transit, but there are a lot of people who would love to be able to take public transportation, who would love to be able to make that choice to drive less or not drive at all, but they simply don't have that option because we don't support public transportation in the way that we need to. But in addition, when you have people spread out and we don't allow housing density near transit, it means for a lot of people it's just not a physical reality for them to be able to use it. They're not able to walk to transit, and they're going to have to drive anyway, so they end up just driving. And that means more traffic congestion, it means more carbon emissions, and it means that people end up spending a lot more of their time in a car as opposed to being able to do other things and live their lives. So this bill really addresses these issues in a few ways. First of all, for high-quality public transportation, which means rail and subway stops, ferries, and bus rapid transit stops. So the really highest quality public transportation within a half a mile of those stops, the state in this bill will set minimum density standards. So cities will no longer be able to ban apartment buildings near high-quality public transportation. They'll have to allow for multi-unit, and the level of density will depend on how close it is to the station. The first quarter mile will have higher density than the second quarter mile, and it will depend on the type of transit in terms of the level of density. The second thing that it does is that for all this area within a half a mile of major transit stations, the permitting for those projects will be streamlined, expedited, ministerial approval. So each project will not become a political football. The standards will be set ahead of time, and people will be able to get their permits quickly. It takes way too long to get permits in California for all sorts of things, and we have been moving for years towards an expedited permitting process, and we will build on that work here. And then the final thing that this bill does is it will allow our public transportation systems, it will give them land use authority on their own land. Their transit systems, whether it's BART, parking lots, or other systems, would have their own land, and they would like to develop that land. It could be housing plus retail, plus office. It could be all sorts of things. And by doing that, it will just be incredibly beneficial in terms of more housing and retail right by the public transit stations. And it will also increase ridership and also revenue for these stations. So we know that in countries with great public transportation, one of the things that they tend to do is to allow their transit systems to have this land use authority so that you can really combine the transit and the housing and the retail all together. And that is a really powerful model. We want to do that in California. BART already has some of that authority, but we want to build on that. And finally, I just want to say, we have allowed our public transportation systems to really languish financially. It's been happening for a long time. We don't support these systems the way that we should. California supports transit way less than other large states like Illinois, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, New York. And it's not okay. We're working hard to try to change that financially. But in addition to the work that we're doing in the state budget and the work that we're doing to try to authorize a multi-county transit revenue measure in the Bay Area, in addition to all that, let's give our transit systems the tools that they need to be able to survive and thrive. And that's what this bill does. So it's an exciting effort. And I want to really thank our amazing coalition. You'll hear from a few folks today. First, I want to, and I'm going to call up a few people at a time. I want to call up Kirsten Blad, the Associate Director of State Policy at Streets for All, an amazing advocacy organization. And then Edward Wright from the BART Board of Directors. And before I call them up, I also just want to acknowledge a few people who won't be speaking today, elected officials who are just strong champions for these issues, with James Coleman from the South San Francisco City Council, Janice Lee from the BART Board of Directors, and Victor Flores also from the BART Board of Directors. And you'll be hearing from Daly City Councilmember Justin Manalo in a bit. So now, Kirsten and Edward.
Thank you, Senator. My name is Kirsten Blad, and I'm the Associate Director of State Policy for Streets for All, an organization dedicated to the advancement of sustainable multimodal transportation. Some people might be curious as to why a transportation group is co-sponsoring a housing bill. Well, the truth is SB 79 isn't that. It's actually of the year disguised as a housing bill. The number one source of greenhouse gas emissions in California is single occupancy vehicles. And if we're serious about addressing the climate crisis, then we can't ignore one of the biggest barriers to achieving our climate goals: the failure of our urban areas to build enough housing near transit. Working class Californians, the people most likely to use transit, are being priced out of our urban centers, forced to move to places that are more affordable, but where transit is scarce or non-existent. Nowhere is this clearer than in Southern California, where Victorville, a city in the Mojave Desert, now has more residents than Pasadena. Pasadena, a city with 6 LA Metro rail stations, which represents billions of dollars of state investments, is actually losing population. While Victorville, where the only rail service is a single Amtrak train per day, is one of the fastest growing cities in the state. When we push growth from transit accessible cities like Pasadena to the suburbs and formerly rural or farm towns like Victorville, Roseville, and Bakersfield, we force people into car ownership, increase congestion and emissions, and lock in another generation of Californians into long, costly commutes and the long-term health effects like asthma and lung cancer from air pollution caused by cars. Every time someone who wants to live in our urban center near transit is priced out, we are failing the climate. And that means we're also failing our transit agencies. California's transit agencies have been struggling to grow ridership for decades and now face financial uncertainty. The reason is obvious if you look at the way California's cities are built. Too many of the areas around our stations are barren. They are still surrounded by parking lots, one-story strip malls, and expensive one-story homes. Our transit systems will never thrive unless we allow more people to live near stations. And that's exactly what SB 79 will do. It will give more Californians the opportunity to live near transit, to spend less on gas, and to not have to spend hours in a car every day. Thank you.
Good morning. I want to welcome you all to our Daly City Station, and I want to start by thanking Senator for being a clear and consistent champion for transit and for BART. My name is Edward White, and I have the honor of representing BART's 9th district, covering the eastern half of San Francisco. It is the densest district in our system, and it's also home to all of our busiest stations, and that's not a coincidence. Transit needs housing, and housing needs transit. Building more homes here is good for our communities and critical for our planet, and multifamily housing is what makes mass transit possible. We see that every day on BART. And as one of the largest landowners in the Bay Area, we at BART have a responsibility to do our part in confronting our housing crisis. We set an ambitious goal to deliver 20,000 units on our land by 2040, including 7,000 affordable units, and we're well on our way. But still, too many things stand in way. Since 2018, we set a new standard for minimum zoning on our land thanks to AB 2923. That was a step forward. SB 79 takes us another step forward. And I support this bill because this bill supports BART. It supports more homes near our stations, and that means more people taking our trains instead of clogging up our streets and our bridges with more cars. And this bill critically gives us control of our own destiny on the land that we own. It lets BART do our own zoning for more homes or more businesses, and it lets us do it quickly, simply, and effectively. Not with months of process, but with a clear purpose. Like transit agencies across the country, we're facing a financial crisis, and we need every tool in our belt to raise more revenue. SB 79 would give us one more tool, and I'm grateful for it. Because when I was a freshman at San Francisco State, I spent 2 hours every day taking BART to this station because I could not afford to live any closer to it. Because for decades, we didn't build enough housing any closer. We can do better and we deserve better. Imagine this as a new community hub, as a place for people. Because behind the zoning standards and the legal tax, this bill is about people. Creating more homes for us and doing it where we already have the infrastructure that makes our lives easier, better, and freer. It's the dream of a walkable neighborhood where you can take a stroll or the subway to work or to school or to see your friends or your family. We deserve that. We deserve more homes, not more red tape or delays or excuses. SB 79 gets us a step closer to that, and Senator Wiener will thank you for it.
Thank you, Director Wright. I now want to bring up two of our great housing champions, organizations that organize up and down the state for more homes. Brian Hanlon, the CEO of California YIMBY, and Jane Natoli, the San Francisco Organizing Director at YIMBY Action.
Thank you, Senator Wiener. Okay, there we go. Thank you, Senator Wiener. I am proud to be here on behalf of California YIMBY, a co-sponsor of SB 79. At California YIMBY, we believe that California should be an affordable place to live, work, and raise a family. And that starts with abundant housing, near jobs, near schools, and yes, near transit. For years, we fought to legalize home building near transit alongside Senator Wiener and a growing coalition of elected leaders, housing advocates, transit supporters, climate activists, business leaders, and others. The data is clear. Housing near transit reduces the pollution that causes climate change, and it creates thriving, walkable communities. But too many Californians treat public transit, which is funded by everyone, as if it were a private club. That's off limits to new residents. That's unfair and unsustainable. SB 79 will change that practice. Woo! Legalizing home building near transit is more urgent than ever. Gas prices are squeezing family budgets, climate disasters are worsening, and are putting far too many Californians in harm's way. Studies from the California Air Resources Board and UC Berkeley show that the number one thing that cities can do to reduce greenhouse gas pollution is to allow more homes near jobs and near transit, and that's exactly what SB 79 will make possible. So this bill is a win-win-win. More affordable housing, less pollution and traffic, vibrant, walkable communities. So the bottom line is, here, can California get out of its own way and build the housing that we desperately need? Or are we going to surrender the future to states that build? It's time to act. Let's pass SB 79 and make good on the promise to California and make our state a place where more people can call home. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is James Natoli. I'm the San Francisco Organizing Director for YIMBY Action, and I'm proud to be here today to support SB 79 alongside so many other great advocates. As we've heard, there's really a moral imperative to this. An entire generation has been stifled by our inability to build more homes, and specifically by our inability to build homes that are well served by transit, that are in high opportunity areas. We have a moral obligation to build more homes in the kinds of places that people want to live, right? They want to live in walkable communities. They don't want to be stuck in their car for 2 hours. I grew up in a suburb where my only escape was being able to drive. Like so many others, I chose to move to a city. I chose to come to a place because I had that opportunity to live in a walkable, thriving community where I was near my job, where I was near my friends and businesses, and I'm one of the lucky ones. Not everyone has that opportunity. SB 79 will build sustainable communities, precisely the kind of communities we need as we look forward. There's a lot of doom and gloom out there when you look at the national picture. We have to control our destiny, like Senator Wiener said. There's a lot where we need to get out of our own way in California to be the kind of state that we know we can be. Our best revenge is showing them that we can do that we can live in these kinds of communities where people aren't car dependent. They aren't driving in from Nantucket to work a job somewhere in the Bay Area, right? That's a failure. That's not something that someone should have to do just because we only allow really rich people or really lucky people to live in our cities by our transportation. So this is precisely what we need and why we need to move faster on it. Our communities lack the diversity they used to. We've known how young people are leaving the state. We've known how young families are leaving our state because they can't afford it. They know that they have to choose between the kind of life they want, where they might have more access to the amenities, they might have more space for their growing family, or someplace where they have other amenities, but they can't do those other things. I've watched too many of my friends leave. I've watched too many people make that difficult choice. It's our job to support yet another great piece of legislation, SB 79, and reverse that trend. Let's make it so that everyone can thrive, that everyone lives near great transit systems like BART, that they can hop on like I did and get here in 20 minutes. That is the beauty of supporting this. That's the beauty of letting people live in communities where they're well served by transit, is they have all sorts of options. I didn't have to get in the car, I didn't get frustrated, I didn't get mad driving here. It was great, right? I could just listen to some music and enjoy it. More people need that opportunity. Let's pass SB 79 and let's create that for people. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you, Jane. And then our final two speakers, I want to call up representing this great city. I'm honored to represent Daly City in the State Senate. And we have really amazing local elected officials here. So I want to call up Justin Manalo from Daly City Council, and then followed by Amanda Brown-Stevens, the Executive Director of the Greenbelt Alliance, one of our really, truly great environmental, climate, sustainability advocacy organizations.
Thank you so much to our Senator Scott Wiener for your leadership. Hello everyone, I'm Justin Manalo, council member for Daly City. And welcome. So I imagine this parking lot here in the future. I actually grew up across the street, that's where my mom's home is. But to imagine having housing, affordable housing right here in this area, because we know that we are in a housing crisis in our community, in the peninsula, in California. And so if we can really build transit-oriented development right here, we know that that's a solution towards ensuring that working families remain in the communities, and that we ensure that, as we hear BART right there, that more people utilize our transit systems that we know many of our families utilize every single day. You know, building close to transit, not only is it for our working families, we know that we are also needing to have climate action for our lives. And we know that this is that. And so this is definitely a smart solution in our communities. And for someone that has utilized, BART many years growing up, I want others to be able to utilize it as well. And so we know that having transit-oriented development is a must. It is really combating the housing crisis that we all know is here. And so thank you for the solutions that are presented, Senator. And I look forward to one day seeing not a parking lot, but housing in our community.
Woo!
Good morning, everyone. Happy to see the sun coming out for this event. So, my name is Amanda Brown-Stevens. I'm Executive Director of Greenbelt Alliance. You've heard now quite a bit about transit, about housing here. I want to talk a little bit about nature. Here in California, we're surrounded by incredible open spaces and natural resources, critical wildlife habitat, productive working farms. The benefits of these lands are innumerable, and yet every year there's more risk of losing these lands to development. The barriers we have put in place to impede building new homes where they're needed most, near jobs, near services, and of course near transit, have pushed development outwards towards the nature that surrounds us. This reduces the benefit of clean air, of clean water that our open spaces provide. It means dramatic increases in greenhouse gas emissions from supercommuters, and it means more people living in areas at severe risk of climate hazards like wildfires, floods, and extreme heat. The only way to reverse this trend is to make it a lot faster, a lot easier, and a lot less expensive to build more homes where they're needed most in our existing communities, and especially near transit. This is why at Greenbelt Alliance we're excited to be a co-sponsor and to be supporting SB 79, which will do just that, helping reverse our current development patterns and create the more affordable, resilient California for us and for future generations. Thanks so much.
Great, so I want to thank everyone for being here today, to our speakers and everyone else. We have a great coalition behind this bill, and we look forward to working to move it forward. With that, if any members of the press have questions, I know we have a great feed here and folks who are watching this remotely, so any questions? Yes?
Yeah, Senator, last time you worked on a similar bill, you got some pushback about this. I mean, I'm curious what tweaks have been made, and if you are, well, I mean, I guess how you think the tweaks have been
Yeah, so thank you for that. And So we did, we worked on bills, first SB 827 and then SB 50 in 2018, 2019, into early 2020. And that was actually, those two bills, even though they ended up not passing, they were transformative in terms of changing the conversation. And the fact that in the 2018 governor's race, in every single debate, SB 827 was raised up. And candidates were asked about their position. That to me showed that we really helped unleash this important conversation. So this is a more focused, very powerful, but it's very focused. So SB 827 applied to all transit stops, including like basically every bus stop, including some bus stops that maybe were not very frequent. And so, and SB 50, in addition to that much broader set of transit stops, included a category known as jobs rich, which is parts of the state, big swaths, that don't have transit but that have a lot of jobs. And that was very, very important. And so SB 50 was a bigger bill than this. So this focuses on transit and on the highest quality transit. So the rail, light rail, subways, bus rapid transit, so there's dedicated bus lanes, and then ferry. So it's really focusing on our highest quality transit. And I hope that in the future we have more of that highest quality transit. We really need to expand transit in California. So it is a very focused bill.
Obviously, it sounds like this time you've got support already from leaders in Daly City Hall. Have you had these kinds of conversations with San Francisco supervisors? Are they open to this?
Well, we have the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco now has some real true housing champions on it, and some of the most anti-housing supervisors are no longer on the Board of Supervisors. So I think in San Francisco, the Board of Supervisors, the mayor really understand the need for more housing. And so I also think in the last 7 years since we first introduced SB 827 back in early 2018, there's been just a deeper and deeper understanding among the public around the importance of more housing, and particularly around transit. There was just a poll that came out in LA, especially in the wake of these horrific fires, that people want to de-emphasize development in the highest fire risk areas, but we also need to talk about where we want to accentuate housing. And we know that these really major transit hubs are disproportionately in less fire-prone areas. And the polling in LA showed that that's where people want to build more housing. So I think the public gets it, and I'm looking forward to the conversation in the Capitol.
And how will these multifamily units be priced? Is it all going to be affordable? Is that
It'll be a mix like it always is. And so that's what we want. We want a mix of different kinds of housing. We can't micromanage every aspect of it. We, for really all of human history until the last few decades, we've just let people build housing where we need housing. That's how it's always worked. We need housing. When it grows, you build more housing. And that's how we've really always done it really throughout human history, until the last 50 years when we decided that we needed to micromanage that and restrict it, and that housing was really housing is a problem, not a good thing. And then all of a sudden, housing prices exploded. So we want to turn that around and get back to, just viewing housing as a positive thing and letting people build it. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Oh, it was great. That worked out perfectly, man. Made it easy for me.
I think I got what I need.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
And unless if you still wanted to get stuff.
I mean, I was gonna ask maybe about BART safety and stuff, but the mood's so off. I didn't want to kill it. So I don't